What's hacking? It's quacking, and welcome back to the episode about talking about games. This time I'm talking about games that I originally bought at a retail price, and now they've gone up for whatever reason. Be it, I don't know, scalpers or just low demand, or maybe that game was just not too great, or maybe I think otherwise. Now, I'm not going to be talking about like used game and stuff. Well, these games are used now since I've opened all of them, but this is when I bought them initially at new price. I will be factoring some sales I got, but even regardless without the sales, the games have gone up, you know, talking about like what they've gone up from their original price. Now, firstly is this game right here. This is a reproduction copy of Wily Wars, so a lot of people might not really count this, and I was a little surprised this is actually like the one that's gone up the least. It has gone up somewhat, and I guess it's to be fair, this is to be expected because it's stuff like this limited run release. It was not released by Limited Run, it was simply endorsed by Limited Run and released through their website. But this is of Mega Man: The Wily Wars, and it's an officially endorsed, it says right here, officially licensed by Capcom. And this is officially endorsed reproduction cartridge right here. And mine, I guess, you know, it's been a while since I've opened this up. Let's see the good old envelope here. What is the manual falls out? This is number 15,493. So coming on down the end right there, there's only 20,000 of these made. You know, there's a cool little instruction manual. It's a very like faithful Genesis game. Now, to be fair, I've never owned any Genesis physical copies of Genesis games until now. So this is like the best thing I guess I could say I own for a physical copy of like a Genesis game. Which I guess some people might even say like, oh, you know, that's not a physical copy. This is a reproduction copy. It's close enough. It's closer than it was, and this was never released physically in North America. Now, it was released physically, I believe, in Europe and Japan. I could be wrong about the Japan part, but this was originally a collaboration between Capcom and Sega to bring more Capcom games to Sega platforms, on Nintendo, you know, being upset and stuff, whatnot. And the reason why they did this, they put it through the Sega channel. And by doing that, it unfortunately made the Sega channel was like a platform where this is like before cloud streaming. This is like early cloud streaming of games where you temporarily download a game. When you shut off your system, the data was wiped. I think some stuff could save, but there's a lot of mixed stories considering it's not very well documented because it was back in the 90s when there wasn't that great of documentation, or people didn't really have as much motivation to document things. But this right here, really cool game I own in my collection. I think it's only really gone up like $10, maybe $15. But I was really happy about getting this because I not only... So originally, I wasn't huge in getting this. I was like, whatever, you know, Wily Wars, it's a decent Mega Man game. I've never played it, but I was like, you know, it's Mega Man, it looks like that. It definitely is a different Mega Man game made by the same people who made the Rockman World games or Mega Man on the Game Boy, those kind of games. Except for Mega Man 2, from what I understand. But that's why I think this is such a cool kind of game. And it's remakes of the 3 original Mega Man games, or I guess remasters, a different way to play the 3 original Mega Man games, but it still is, it's got its own game, Wily Tower, where you can use a combination of different power-ups from the first 3 Mega Man games of the classic Mega Man series. And I think it was really cool. It came with like a special edition box that I would put up on here. As you can see, I'm a big Mega Man fan. I had that special edition box, and of course this. I was really happy to find this at a mom and pop store. I was going for the retail price of what you could get it for online for $70. But the problem is with retro games made by, like just games made through Limited Run and Strictly Limited, all that stuff, is the shipping cost. They have to have some kind of underground deal with these companies. I think I've talked about this before, but I was just like, you know, this. Some other people were complaining, saying it's cool, you know, I wish you could just get the game standalone without these extra things like a poster and trading cards and a holographic front and, you know, that their certificate and all that fun stuff. But for me, I was like, I don't really care about that. That's kind of cool for special editions, but I'm not so much about special editions these days back then. But I was all in a tizzy about the shipping costs. I think it was like $15. And I remember I got like this Castlevania Requiem special edition kind of. I'm gonna see if it can stand up. You gonna stay up? All right, we're gonna hope that stays up. That I got. I think I talked about this before, where I was gonna get the larger version. For some reason, it's supposed to be smaller items or a higher shipping cost, but they just really like to put their thumb on the scale and raise costs, Limited Run. So I didn't buy it from them initially, and I was like, you know, I didn't even think about maybe I'll find this in the wild, but I found this on my birthday last year, and I was super happy. I treated myself with this and a few other retro games. This is the only one I got brand new at that store, but I was super, super happy because not only did I not have any Genesis stuff, my Retron 5 can play Genesis games and never really tapped into its potential. And recently I've been really into Genesis stuff. I got to thinking, I don't really have any Genesis games. Technically I do, and this is probably one of my proudest ownerships right here. So it hasn't really gone up in price yet, but I feel like if you'd like to get a collector's edition of that, or just a physical copy of the Wily Wars, go for it. It is on Switch Online, only the expansion pass for $50 a year. I know people have been mixed about that, but yeah, this game was never released physically in North America, and it's only been played through limited means. I guess even more limited now, considering, let's just say that Switch Online is kind of like the Sega channel. With that being said, then, now we're going to be talking about some 3DS stuff. 3DS has been going up in price, not just because of the eShop, but just in general. Everything's been going up in price, everything, because of the pandemic. And one game that I got, this is one of the last physical games that was released on the 3DS, and this was in 2019, was Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth. Now, I know I don't have the special edition here, that's in storage, a lot of some other stuff I'll be talking about here, but this game really didn't have a lot of stuff. It was a limited print run, they only made a certain amount of copies, and I pre-ordered this when I was getting into Persona. I was like, I don't really have any console with Persona games, but then I found out, oh, the Q series, that's pretty cool. And I have heard some stories about the original Q cartridges and games made around that time, like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, Fire Emblem Awakening not being so great. But for me, this I was pretty happy about. It's like I wanted to get into the Persona series. Joker came into Smash, pretty cool way to, put them on 3DS at least, maybe not Switch. Nintendo really liked pushing the 3DS life. I really like the 3DS. Because of that, I picked up, a few more rare titles that I'm not going to talk about everything. I mean, I was thinking when I was making this video, I was like, I got a lot of 3DS stuff that I bought initially for good price, but now it's up there. Some double, I think some even triple. This game hasn't gone up and doubled. Surprisingly, it looks like it's stagnated or maybe dipped in price, which is a little surprising considering the eShop has gone off. This game had free of DLC and stuff as well, which that's no longer available because the eShop it's closed in a sense where you can't get new purchases, and for some reason free items were through a purchase system, which really stunk for a lot of stuff for the Wii U as well. Still really upset about why Nintendo closed that, but this isn't about an eShop video. This is about games I picked up originally for cheaper price. Now they're more expensive. And this game has gone up a little bit more in price, especially with the special edition. It was a big box it came with trading cards and a Koromaru plush, which is the dog character from Persona 3, and it had some other cool knickknacks in there, of course, with the game and a cool little box. I picked that up at my GameStop, and I guess that was a time where if you didn't pre-order, then you're out of luck. I was working a very crappy job at the time, and I remember I made a cool little opening video. I'm curious if I can still find that for this video. I made an unboxing video, like on the launch day as well. I played it for just a little bit. Honestly, I'm not huge, and this is kind of like an Etrian Odyssey game. I believe that's what it is, where it's like Atlas made like a dungeon crawling kind of game. Have you ever played like I'm trying to think of, I think like the first Phantasy Star game, or the first Shining Force, Shining in the Darkness, was like a dungeon crawl, like a first-person dungeon crawl. It's kind of like this. It's a harder Persona game, I'll say. And I ended up picking up a PlayStation 4 and getting a copy of Persona 5 before I got this game, so I was like, whatever. Now, I haven't really beaten this game, but I'm glad I own it because, it is more expensive now, and I'm hoping to maybe come back to it someday. Probably one of the more cheaper 3DS games I'll be tackling today. But next, we're going to be talking about a game that so many people disliked. They just crapped on it and shit on it, and unfortunately, as a result, the game tanked because of that. And that game is Metroid Prime Federation Forces. Now, it's strange because this game was cheap for a while. It wasn't too bad. I think you get it for maybe 20, maybe even less than that. I think maybe even 10 before the pandemic, pre-pandemic. Now that that's gone up, everyone's, of course, let's put our thumb on the scale and raise price as much as possible. But this was during a time when Nintendo was releasing very odd things, games that, in series, just kind of games that maybe were stale or not so great. And I feel like I would say not so much about this game. It's not amazing, but it definitely is good. And it was during a time, I don't know why, when Nintendo released like multiplayer. The 3DS has a lot of good multiplayer games. Fortunately with this, I have a hard time finding people to play multiplayer games with, in this game in particular, because nobody really knew about this game due to, you know, the crapping on. Well, I guess maybe that helped raise some awareness. It's funny when people make issues about things that it becomes more apparent, but this game was announced during E3 2015, when Metroid wasn't seen for a good 5 years, and people were like, what's happening? You know, and the last entry was just awful, and people were pretty stale and bitter and salty about Metroid Other M. I never played that game, but at the time, I was a decent Metroid fan. I wasn't really super into it. Not until 2 years later when Samus Returns came out. That's an amazing game, by the way. I could even have talked about that in this video. That one's gone up in price. I don't know why people tend to shit on that one too. Just a lot of hate for 3DS Metroid overall. I don't know what's up with that. Especially this game, of course. You know, when this game was announced, as I mentioned, E3 2015, just a lot of weird stuff. I think that's when Animal Crossing Movie Festival was mentioned, and Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. Stuff like Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, that's one of probably the better ones, I'd say. I'd say that was number 2 of the games released between 2015 and 2016. And this would probably be number 4. I would say maybe Triforce Heroes was number 3. Number 1 was Kirby Planet Robobot, of course, between 2015 and 2016. But besides just 4 titles, and even then, even with number 3, not as much, you know, I would say this game is maybe like a 7. You know, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. That is if you're playing with other people. And I like to play games, not necessarily how they're intended. I guess I do like to play them as they're intended. And with games like Triforce Heroes when this released, along with Metroid Prime Federation Forces, you could play this game solo. They had like a chip called Lone Wolf or something where you installed it, gave you the buffs, because, you know, obviously the game's a lot harder with multiplayer, but it also feels a lot more dull and kind of boring when you're playing it by yourself. The 3DS just has, as I mentioned, phenomenal multiplayer. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, Kid Icarus Uprising, and Triforce Heroes. This game, you know? And I try to get people around to play this, and I remember I begged a friend so much to get a used copy of this game. And they did. They finally did. And we were playing it, I remember, in study hall, my last year of high school. And we didn't have so great of a connection. He had a new 3DS. This game kind of doesn't do as amazing on the regular 3DS, but I was able to beat it because that's my only capture card I have on a stream with a friend. And unfortunately, it's not only hard to find one person to play this game, but of course, let alone 4 people to play this game with. And I had another friend. I was like, "Oh, we should get this game. We should get this game." And I was thinking getting a loose copy for him before it went up in price. Now it's double in price, and it's interesting because games that usually are bad or perform bad, of course, they're going to be more rare. And a lot of people say this game's bad. It's not really that bad. It's not as bad as a lot of people say it is. I don't understand why so much hate. And one of the reasons being that it wasn't what they wanted. A lot of people, for some reason, think they get entitled, and they act like they're in control of video game companies. In the end of the day, you know, we are able to have a word and a say about things, but that's just being unfair and rude to not just the game company, but at the time Satoru Iwata was passing away, and this was the last E3 he had before he passed away a month later. And I think it was even less than that. Actually, it was about a month. It was around there. And it really makes me sad that, you know, he passed away saying one of his last things he said about was he's unfortunate that E3 upset people. I think Star Fox Zero was announced in there too. But to me, you know, I thought it was an alright E3. It wasn't anything amazing like 2014 where they had like the Adult Swim skit with Mother 3. And they had like a Muppets kind of thing. And I thought it was all right to good. And I was seeing some people who are Nintendo fans, and there's one person, I'm not going to mention their name. They're still active on the internet, and they're as I mentioned, a Nintendo fan. It's weird. There's this joke about Nintendo fans who they're not actually fans. They just like to shit on things whatsoever. You know, I would say I was I don't like to use the word fan. I just was a Nintendo enjoyer, enthusiast at the time. I didn't like PlayStation, I like Xbox. Of course, that's changed. Now I got a Sega game right in front of me right here. And all this other stuff like PS Vita and all this other stuff. But Nintendo does have still a special place in my heart. And it just really upset me and saddened me that this game came out during a time when people were making petitions, you know, just awful comments and stuff saying, get rid of this game, don't make this game, don't produce it. And I was just like, why? Like, I just kind of was neutral, and I'm like, I'm gonna get the game because not only was Nintendo not making a whole lot of stuff during that time, but I just wanted more Metroid stuff because, you know, of course, I'm not going to get Metroid Other M, and this game is definitely 5 bar better than Metroid Other M. And I'm not talking about Metroid Prime Remaster, you know, that was originally up in price, more than this game at one point. Now they fixed that, but this game's not going to get fixed, because not only the digital version, talking about price-wise, not only the digital version is delisted, but now this game's going from price, even before the eShop went offline. People are realizing that with, you know, Prime Remaster coming out and Prime 4 on the horizon still, this wasn't that bad of a game. It deserved better. It definitely is better played with multiplayer, but it sucks now that if you want to get an extra copy, it's, you know, if you want to get 2 copies, you're probably looking at $160, maybe even more with tax and stuff, and shipping and whatnot, but... yeah, so that's definitely unfortunate. I think this game is one that's doesn't deserve the fate it is, but I'm glad I have it. Now, the next game right here, Dragon Quest VII: Fragments of the Forgotten Past. Now, this at the time, once again, another Smash Bros. Instance where the hero character from Dragon Quest was added to Smash, with 4 different characters, I believe, from the latest one at the time, Dragon Quest XI, Dragon Quest IV, I think, Dragon Quest III, and not Dragon Quest 1, but I know he appears in there. One of them, I think maybe Dragon Quest 9, but I'm pretty sure 3 out of the 4 there, right, of the different skins you can have. But this is the Dragon Quest VII game, and this was big in the PlayStation. This is known for having a massive script. I know they've shown pictures of Dragon Quest VII script with just tons of books and the translation process. And, you know, the game, this was during a time, this was the last Dragon Quest game on the PlayStation that was released, where it was called Dragon Warrior still. And they skipped 4 and 6, I mean 5 and 6, not 4, along with the, like the remasters for SNES. I believe that's what they are. But they're either way, they're kind of ports or games that are on there. But you know, they skipped all that, and then we went straight to 7, because at the time Enix was struggling before it was absorbed by Square Enix. And this was released, I believe, in 2016. Another weird time for when Nintendo first-party stuff was not so great. There was some decent third-party stuff at least. And this is a great remake overall, amazing, just phenomenal. And I've not played much of it, because I can tell you right now, if I ever make a video about games that have a long beginning tutorial, this one's definitely in there. It's up there with the Twilight Princesses and some Pokemon games. I've only played a few hours, and I think I'm still stuck in the tutorial. I haven't even gotten to a battle yet. I've enjoyed what I played so far of story, but this takes some time to get used to growing on you. And it wasn't so expensive at first. I know Dragon Quest 8, that remake from PlayStation 2, for the 3DS, that was certainly up there in price. I got that digitally on the eShop, not only before it closed down, before my Nintendo stopped having 30% discounts. I was glad to pick that up, but I at least got this physically. For some reason, this might be a little hard. Mine's kind of yellowing compared to other 3DS games that I have. Kind of like a tan. I don't know what's going on there. Some games just kind of do that, but I don't know if it's just like this cheaper packaging or what. But I got this not only on sale, I think this is $40 at launch. All 3DS games were like that, but I got this on sale at a Myers for $20 brand new, and they have like a Santa Bucks thing there, where like it's like a thing where if you buy like, I don't know, like a game like $20, you can get like $5 off it additionally. And of course, because it was clearance reduced, I was getting upset with the cashier, like, why is this not reduced? I'm like, oh, it's already clearance. So I'm like, you know, honestly, it is nice to get as much money discounts as much as possible, but I'm really glad I got this brand new for $20, because now it's about $60, not as much as Metroid Prime Federation portions, but it's about a little over $60 for the game, and of course the box. It's been kind of fluctuating up and down, not so much as 8, but people of course couldn't get the copies of 8 because that was like right at the dead end life of the 3DS. I think even when the Switch was already out. And they're like, all right, if I can't get 8, then let's go for the next best thing, 7. And it's not as much as 8. I think maybe $20, $30 cheaper. But this game definitely has climbed in price because of people not being able to get 8. I would love to play more of this, but I'm really glad I have this. And something I should say about Metroid Prime Federation portions, I didn't beat this until I had at least one friend. I only had one friend where we were able to beat this game together, and I gotta say, overall, really good game. It was a surprising ending, and I definitely recommend you can get this if you have the chance to play through it. It was a surprising ending where if you're a fan of Metroid, definitely go for it. And I think that's what made me give it an 8 out of 10. I was like, this wasn't that bad of a game. People crapped on it too much. But anyways, now with the 3DS stuff out of the way, this one's an obvious one. And we gotta talk about this, and this has been going up. These games have always been going up in price, even though there's plenty of copies out there. Not enough, this entry in the series is the worst selling, even though it's got more entries sold than Earthbound and you know, all those other games that are super expensive for whatever reason. Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Now, one of these is not mine. This is a sibling's copy, Soul Silver. The boxes are in storage, the bigger ones with like the Pokewalker and stuff. The reason why these are kind of more expensive, I believe these were like $40, $50. I don't remember the new price exactly, but I know they were more than a $35 DS game at the time. And that's kind of what made people want to buy them less. I really liked these remakes. A lot of people usually say these are the only good remakes of Pokemon. I think Fire Red Leaf Green's another good one. This isn't just good, this is great. The Mega Ruby Alpha Sapphire one, I think it's nice. I think that's probably my third favorite. Then the Diamond and Pearl one, it's there. You know, it's not. I don't think it's bad. I think it's fine. But Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, definitely. I think it's one of the more expensive games by far, and it's got the Pokewalker, which is really cool, where you can walk with your Pokemon. Oddly enough, it's the worst-selling mainline Pokemon game. Once again, I think it's like 10 million, 11 million copies, which is still a lot. And it made money, but definitely what impacted the price was the higher price at launch, and it makes sense why this was the case. I've heard some stuff about having limited launches. I remember my parents, once again, you can see where the money kind of thing came from, or wanting to save money or be as cheap as possible. My parents got these games, I believe, at a Myers, and they bought it for, I think, retail price. Once again, Myers love the same Myers I got that Dragon Quest VII from. And then we noticed that they're at Kmart for, I think, $20 cheaper. Kmart, I should make an entire video about how amazing stuff Kmart has been. And they're a little surprised they were able to get away with this, but they got those games from Kmart. Then they returned them to Myers open, and we got the $20, or we got the money back. Somehow that actually worked out. I'm a little surprised that's the case, and I was really surprised. Is it stealing? I don't really think so. They got their games back in the end, but it certainly worked out though, and we didn't steal anything. It was just like an equivalent exchange, you could say, in a sense. But that being said, you know, these games are amazing. I love to replay them. It's too bad that they've gone up in price. I don't know if we're ever going to re-releases of them. Maybe at least the original games on Switch Online, but who knows with that? And now finally, my last game to be talking about. We're going to be talking about a Wii game. This is Kirby's Dream Collection. I was going to say 30th. Actually, I think it's more like 20th. 20th now. It's weird to think this is now 30th. Kirby's Dream Collection was a really cool entry, released at the end of the Wii's life. It was right before the Wii U came out, dead end of it. It's got 6 amazing classic Kirby games in there, and I believe this is just simply the Virtual Console games just put on physical disc. You didn't really see Nintendo put games from their Wii Shop channel in physical form, and this is one of those cases. And it also has some games on there that never were released. I think at least one game, or 2 games actually, never were put on the Wii Shop channel. That being Kirby's Dream Land and Kirby's Dream Land 2. Fantastic games, especially Kirby's Dream Land 2. I love that game to death. But besides those 2 games, it has Kirby's Adventure from the NES, Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Land 3, another great one, and Kirby 64, their Crystal Shards. It also has some challenge stages, Kirby History, even some Kirby Right Back At You of the cartoon in there. Overall, this collection is just chocked full of stuff. Not only that too, but it also has a soundtrack, one of the better ones I've gotten in the collection. And of course, the game itself. I don't have the little extra box at the moment. That's in storage too. And it has a cool little booklet that shows off some really cool stuff. A misprints in there as well. It says Kirby Tilt and Tumble was released in 3DS eShop. It never was. I don't know about Japan or any other place. It never was released. I think it even specified North America. It never was. So the first time that will be releasing will be on the Switch. I think that's pretty freaking cool. I think there was even some misprints there about these games being released on 3DS eShop, but it took them a little while before they did. Kind of leaked some stuff ahead of time. Maybe Kirby Tilt and Tumble was planned for the Nintendo or the 3DS because it does have gyro sensor. I'm curious if anyone's actually emulated those games and do so, but overall, fantastic collection. I thought it was really cool they put Dreamland and Dreamland 2 in here, considering Game Boy games were never put on the Wii Virtual Console. Makes me think as well, maybe at some point Nintendo was going to put Wii games or Game Boy games on the Wii, and it's similar like I mentioned about Tilt and Tumble. You wonder how much stuff Nintendo maybe has delayed or canceled or just not put on there, and you really wonder what is the case. All kinds of lost video game preservation. The only way we're really going to see if with these Giga Leaks and stuff, but that's a whole other can of worms. I don't think I want to talk about where I'm getting once again off topic, but yeah, overall, so that is some games that I bought originally, and they definitely have gone up in price. Kirby's Dream Collection, probably, I think it might be one of the more cheaper games I'll be showing off compared to Wily Wars, so I guess that's why I'm displaying them out in front unintentionally. But very great collection overall, and it's just chock full of great games that I think most of those Kirby games I talked about in that collection are very expensive now for just their standalone cartridge one, especially Kirby's Dream Land 3, 64 not so much. Some of the other common ones are not so bad, but definitely Kirby Dream Land 3. I guess not early in general, but you still are saving money buying that, especially from just Kirby's Dream Land 3. But with that being said, what do you think, guys? Tell me some games you bought originally at price, and they are now up there in price. I probably will be making maybe a sequel or follow-up video to this, because I've got plenty of stuff to talk about with this, but I figured I'd just pick some stuff that I know around the room that definitely has gone up in price. Maybe not too much. Maybe it's doubled in value. With that being said, hope you have a great rest of your day, and keep gaming. I don't know how I was going to... I don't know. I need to figure out a proper intro.